I was first it was just trying to get into a position where I could try to find someone to interview. So you have all these NBA executives and players, and there was a lot of different reporters and anchors from different stations from all over. And they kind of had like a yellow tape, and they said all the, reporters stand back here. And being 5 feet tall, I thought, you know what? That's ridiculous. Like, I have nothing to lose. If they kick me out, I don't even officially work for this station. So I grabbed the photographer and said, I'm going to go into the tape. And he was like, you can't go into the tape. The reporters have to stay back here. And I'm like, what are they going to do? I'm not even technically a reporter. Yeah. So I see Dominique Wilkins, who is set to announce the first pick of the NBA draft. I see him getting on an elevator to go down to make the big announcement. And I just ran right in the elevator. And I said, follow me. And the photographer was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so going to get fired for this. But I said, no, you're not. It's fine. Just blame it on me, the intern, who I don't have a job anyway. So I ran in the elevator, and they said, Mr. Wilkins, do you mind if I ask you about who you're going to select as the first pick in the NBA draft? And he said, sure. How'd you get in the elevator? I said, I don't know. I'm little. And he started laughing. He thought it was funny. He was like, yeah, I guess that's true. And I said, so do you mind? He said, no, let's go out to center court when we get down to the bottom of the elevator. I said, all right. So we walked right out there. And I think the photographer was kind of in shock, like this actually worked. But it kind of taught me that in this business, really, there's nothing to lose. I mean, there's obviously times where you have to, maybe obey the rules, but never be afraid to stick a microphone out there and just ask a question. Sometimes they'll answer it, sometimes they won't. He could have easily said, hey, no comment, I'm not supposed to answer any questions. And then that's fine, and I would have respected that. But I thought, hey, I have nothing to lose. I'll stick the microphone in his face, and we'll see what happens. So ended up working well. Yeah. So yeah, you never know what kind of interview you'll get if you just start talking to someone and asking questions. You never know what they'll say in the end. They could say nothing. Sometimes they say no comment. I think I was just kind of, like I definitely went for it. I don't know how I felt if I wasn't. I just felt like I have nothing to lose. I just felt like, all right, it's my first day in sports. I could just try it, and so I kind of just went for it and thought, all right, I can do it. And in the sense, being a small little girl helped me out a little bit. Because I think, maybe if I was some guy, because a lot of sports reporters, I'm not saying this about all guys, but sometimes they come in with a little bit of, maybe arrogance and, oh yeah, I belong here type thing. And I think me just being like, hi, can I ask you a question? A lot of times they don't want to say no because they don't want to be rude to you, but sometimes they can be rude to someone that is rude to them. So I thought, all right, just give them my best shot. Born and raised in Texas.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to school at Georgia, and then I went back to Texas after graduation. I was working as an associate producer at Fox 5 in Atlanta, but knew I really wanted to be a full-time reporter or a full-time anchor. So then I put my resume tape together and started looking for different jobs. And Abilene, Texas called up and said, hey, we have a sports reporter opening. I had never been to Abilene. I grew up in Austin, which is a good 5 hours from Abilene. Abilene's in West Texas. I had never ventured out there before. I had seen the movie Friday Night Lights and knew that it was based there. So I thought, okay, well, let's give it a shot. They love football out there. And it was a really fun time. And it was the perfect first job. It was the perfect place to learn. It was the perfect place to make mistakes. And it was the perfect place to come back from those mistakes. And it was a great place to be on your own for the first time and kind of learn how to be a sports reporter. So yeah, it was the best first job. It was really great. I worked there for just one football season, actually. I was there for probably about 7 months, and was the Dallas Cowboys beat reporter too, which was really fun on Sundays. They would send me to Cowboys games, and got to see Tony Romo lose up close many times, and it was fun. That was a fun experience too, and it was crazy to think that I was in market 160, a very small market, very small town, but on Sundays I got to go cover the Cowboys, and that's another circumstance where you learn very quickly. You're there with a lot of national media and a lot of people from ESPN and Fox, and you're the little guy, but when a microphone is stuck in a player's face, they're going to answer whatever good questions come to them. And I learned that in a positive light. I got a lot of really great interviews in the locker room, win or lose, And I learned that it was just about the questions, and it was just about the way you talk to players, and they don't care if it's an ESPN Mike Flagg or K Texas was the name of my station. And I got a lot of really great stories. And I was treated with respect, really was there. Everyone was really, really nice. The players, the coaches, Jerry Jones, the owner, and even the other media. I also learned that big media outlets like to help little media outlets. And I didn't think it was like that, but there was a lot of times where there was one time where I was trying to get in there. We call it like a scrum, like a media scrum, where everyone's kind of around one player. And I was trying to get in there, and I couldn't really fit in there. And a reporter for ESPN, Ed Werder, grabbed my microphone, and he's like, "Here, let me help you out." And he held my microphone as well as his. Mm-hmm. And so stuff like that, it's just they want to help you, and they see that, hey, you're young. I was 23 years old, just starting out, And so it is nice to see that there's that camaraderie, and people do want to help you if you're nice and respectful. And I think that I always tried to be respectful and complimentary and be like, "Oh, I watch your stuff, and it's an honor to be alongside you." You say something like that to them, and they're like, "Oh, here, well, let me help you out." So you kind of learn that you can be one big family. It's just in how you treat people. And I have a good story about females helping out females. I was covering at this station when the Yankees went to the World Series in 2000. I'm gonna say 2008. It could be 2009. 2008. And I was there, and they had won the National League Divisional Series game. And so there was going to be a big champagne celebration in the clubhouse, and they were so excited they're moving on to the NLCS. And so right when the final out was thrown, I went from the media box down to the tunnel so we could go into the clubhouse and do interviews with the champagne and the celebration. And this is my first time doing this. I had never been in a champagne celebration before, and it was the New York Yankees, so this was huge. So I was definitely feeling a little nervous and thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Am I going to look like an idiot? Or is the national media going to push me out? Or am I even going to get in? And there was one other female. Her name's Kim Jones. She works for the NFL Network now. But at the time, she was the New York Yankees beat reporter for Yes. So she was at every game, and she was kind of their main reporter throughout the whole season. And so all Yankees fans knew who Kim Jones was. So Kim comes up to me, and she says, hey, looks like we're the only two girls in this. And I looked around and realized it was about 100 male reporters. Wow. Like newspaper, magazines, TV, cameramen. We really were the only two females to be found. And she's like, so you stick with me and don't worry. We'll get everything you need. I said, oh, okay, wow, thanks. She's like, us ladies got to stick together. And I was like, okay, yeah, great. And she was like, and also, come see me afterwards. You're probably going to get covered in champagne, and you have a long drive back to Pennsylvania. So I'll have some clothes for you that if you want to change. And I said, okay, thanks. Like I was just kind of taken aback thinking, wow, she doesn't have to be nice to me. But she just said, when I was younger, the females that were in this field, the few took care of me. And she's like, so I know how you're feeling right now. So don't worry, stick by me. And I was like, okay, I'll stick by you. And she was wonderful. And they had all of the Yankees had to give her interviews first because it was like run by the Yankees organization and Yes Network. So she went up to Derek Jeter, starts interviewing him, and then after she interviews him, she says, now she has a few questions for you. And she did that for me throughout the entire clubhouse, and it was wonderful. And she made sure. And then we kind of split our ways in the clubhouse, and I went and was grabbing interviews on my own with like Nick Swisher and Phil Hughes. And she would always make a point of coming back over to me and saying, hey, do you have everything you need? Do you need anybody else? What can I do to help you? And then afterwards, when I was covered in champagne, because Nick Swisher would only give me an interview if I also drank the champagne and sprayed it with him. So he said, this is a celebration. And I said, oh my gosh. I said, I'm on the clock and I just need an interview. He's like, I don't care. I'm on the clock too. And I said, oh man. So we sprayed champagne, which got all over my face, and I was drenched in champagne. He gave me a great interview. And then she came over and gave me Yes Network, like t-shirts and towels and stuff to dry off. And but it was great, and it showed me to do the same if I was ever in a situation where there was a new reporter, which I've been in that situation. And you can tell like someone's new in the field and they're not, used to things, and it's nice to help someone out. And it kind of went full circle because was back here 3 years ago when Derek Jeter came to play for the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders in a rehab assignment. So they sent her from New York to here, and she was trying to get on the field and get interviews, but didn't really know her way around. And I went up to her and I was like, "Hey, Kim," and she's like, "Oh my gosh!" And I said, "Do you need any help?" And she's like, "Well, this is funny." So I helped her like get on the field and stuff, and it was just kind of funny how it kind of went full circle that she was then in my neighborhood and I was able to kind of return the favor. So